Less than a month ago, President Obama called on Congress to raise the minimum wage during his State of the Union address. This week, Iowa Senator Tom Harkin introduced the legislation.
The harsh truth is that the minimum wage has become a poverty wage for tens of millions of workers and, again, their families. This shouldn't happen in the richest nation on earth.
Harkin's bill would gradually raise the minimum wage from $7.25 an hour to $10.10 an hour, higher than the president's $9 an hour proposal. It would also tie the minimum wage to inflation. Harkin says it would give 30 million Americans a raise. Here's what we know. 3.8 million hourly workers earn at or below the minimum wage. 49% are adult women. About 24%, about a quarter of them are teenagers. 59% have a high school diploma or less. 7% have a bachelor's degree or higher. Conservatives say raising the minimum wage is a job killer. Progressives say it lifts families out of poverty. The problem, you can't find studies to support just about any position. So much conflicting research on this. Dohanue Peebles is the CEO of the Peebles Corporation and a member of President Obama's National Finance Committee. Michael Saltzman is a research fellow at the Employment Policies Institute. I'll start with Don. You're a businessman. You say raising the minimum wage won't hurt job creation. Is it a risk worth taking in this economy?
Absolutely it is. I think we have to have Americans who are willing to work and work hard to be paid a living wage. And a happier, more secure worker is a better worker, and less turnover is much better for business as well, and they'll spend more money in the economy.
But how do you know that small businesses are just going to turn around and raise their prices?
Oh, you know what? I've run a small business. I think the better we pay people in reason, the more productive they are. And I've run a small business for 30 years in different types of businesses, and I've found that to be the case across the board. Minimum wage is not a job killer. Increasing the minimum wage is a good thing for the country, in reason.
You know, Michael, you say that a higher minimum wage hasn't been shown to reduce poverty. But what about the moral argument that we're the richest country in the world, as Tom Harkin said, and it's the right thing to do?
Well, it's the right thing to do. I mean, intentions are great, but I think you have to look at the evidence, and the evidence shows that, you know, if you look at the 28 states, for instance, that raised their minimum wage between 2003 and 2007, yet economists from Cornell and American University, top-notch universities, look at those states and say, well, there was no associated reduction in poverty rates. And I mean, so I think we need to talk about how businesses are actually going to react to this. You know, Don had mentioned that, you know, that you could pay workers more and you get less turnover. But the thing is, if that's such a good idea, government doesn't need to mandate that. Businesses are going to do that on their own. When you talk about the kind of businesses that hire minimum wage employees, we're talking about restaurants and grocery stores that have 2 or 3% profit margins. And so they can't just absorb it. And raising prices, especially in an economy like this, could mean less sales. So they look for other options. That means providing the same product with less service. That means fewer employees.
You know, I want to bring in something that Christina Romer, the former chairwoman of the President's Council of Economic Advisors, wrote this week in the New York Times. She says that there are better ways to help the poor. This is what she wrote, you guys. A more generous earned income tax credit would provide more support for the working poor and would be pro-business at the same time. And pre-kindergarten education, which the president proposes to make universal, has been shown in rigorous studies to strengthen families and reduce poverty and crime. She calls the hike in the minimum wage a half measure. Don, I'm going to give that one to you because there are some economists who say, wow, I wish everyone earned more money, but there are better ways. If you're talking about a poverty reduction program, there are better ways to do it than this.
Oh, I agree that there are better ways and there are more ways to be more effective, but this is one step in the right direction. You know, there's a role for the government. It negotiates for people who can't negotiate for themselves. When I hire a lawyer, they are free to negotiate. And the average worker, an hourly worker, is not. I think that we need to look at education and other areas to lift people out of poverty, of course, but a living wage is important in this country.
Michael, what do you think? I mean, it's part of a suite of tools that we need to help the poorest workers in America.
Well, I think when you have Christina Romer, who used to be one of the top economists for President Obama, saying that the minimum wage is not an effective way to reduce poverty, I think we need to pay attention to that. I think she's absolutely right on the earned income tax credit. I mean, one of the things that hasn't been mentioned in this debate is, say, for a single-parent family with 2 children, the minimum wage for them is already above $9 an hour because of the earned income tax credit. In many states, it's already above $10 an hour. And so I would much prefer President Obama to be using his bully pulpit to, say, strengthen the EITC on the federal level than having him use it for raising the minimum wage, which is not going to reduce poverty and is going to reduce employment, not economy-wide, but for groups like teens who have seen their unemployment be over 20% for more than 4 years.
Yeah, and EITC, of course, is the Earned Income Tax Credit. Just final, I want just a one or two word answer from both of you. Do you think it's likely we could see the minimum wage, a president in his second term? Michael, you first. Do you think he can get it through?
It's tough to do it in 2 words. I'm not sure they want to get it through. I think they want to use it as an electoral issue going into the midterm elections. And so I think we'll continue to hear about it.
What do you think, Don?
I think he'll get it through. I think that there's enough support in the Congress to get it through, and he'll get it through pretty quickly.
All right, Michael Saltzman, Dohanue Peebles, nice to see both of you. Thank you. Have a great weekend, guys.